Goody good morning to you, baby dolls. Have a look at this. This is the PulseX to Pulse ratio. I've told you this would be the #1 indicator for the Pulse chain ecosystem. It is my signal for risk on and risk off. It's a generic market signal for risk on and risk off, just like Uni ETH or even ETH BTC. These types of behaviors are important for us to gauge where the sentiment is. And you can see it is screaming at the top of its lungs. Now, there are people who provide liquidity down here and they're hurting a bit. But look, it's not that bad. I'm going to show you the impermanent loss, the actual real number. It's not the end of the world. There are yield farms you can do, okay, for PulseX to Pulse. This is 60% right now, but don't count on 60% because it's blue chip. There's $200 million. I would rather you, when I see these yields, divide them by 3. All right, so 20%. That's what I want to do. So what you can do with this APR, the good thing about APR is it's not, you don't have to compound it. So you can just do 59%, right? And you can divide it by 365 to get you the per day yield. Okay, so you'll get 0.16%. But when you're dealing with numbers this small, what I like to do is just look at it by week because it's so slow. Okay, so it's about, you just go down to 52 divided by 52. Yeah, it's about 1% per week. So remember that number, 1% per week. And I'm actually going to be more conservative. I'm going to assume it's 0.5% per week. All right, and you're going to see why. Because it's better to err on the side of caution when it comes to this. So you'll be earning 0.5% a week in here. Okay, now if we go back, as you're a baby doll, baby cake, you will witness this ratio blew up. So a lot of the Pulse chain maxis, the PLS maxis, got a bit pooped. They're like, oh, how did this coin with all the weak hands, how did it go up? In 99% of circumstances, you're right to question how did it go up. But this is Pulse chain, and this is Ricardo Corazon, all right? All your rules, all your formulas get thrown out the window. Michael Saylor even said, like, when you have your quantitative model about how you think the world and money works, what's Godzilla going to do to your model when it comes in and just steps on a big pinball machine? That's exactly what's happening here. The guy's a billionaire, man. There's going to be no man, woman, duck, or coin left behind in this situation. So a lot of people, I've also realized, please, if you are nervous about this, you ain't seen nothing yet, all right? You got to sit through this. This is, I'm actually now, please let me know in the comments if you still like me to continue about this ratio stuff, all right, in investing, because, by the way, this is very short. The ratio stuff, friends, you're meant to be on a weekly chart, okay? This is not meant to be 4 hour. It's just that it's very, very new. I've seen some comments, people are losing their minds already, literally losing their minds over a couple of percent of the impermanent loss. So I'm going to show you, all right, I actually have a tweet here to show you, because you're a baby doll, baby cake with a straight back. Look at this, okay? So PulseX is strong against Pulse. The impermanent loss is not that bad. Have a look at this, friends. So just to clarify, you can go to, look at the website, okay? Look at this website, COINGECKO.com/EN impermanent loss calculator. You can look it up on Google as well. If you go here, you just look at these 2 tabs. Have a look at this, okay? Asset price 1 change and asset price 2. So if you've noticed, these are 50-50. See this, the asset price weight? 50-50. Because we're in a Uniswap V2, we're doing in a perfect 50-50 ratio. You leave them the same. So you will decide what to do. So what I did was I actually put asset price 1 change 0%. So Pulse ain't moved, okay? And what I did was I just assumed worst case. I assumed you're long from you are in the spread from the very bottom, this rectangle, all right? This is what I assumed. And if you look at here, I put 100% move. So you're holding Pulse, which went 0, and you're holding PulseX, which went 100%. Okay, so this is plus 100%, okay? That's what happened. And look at this number down here. That's your impermanent loss. That's your extra loss from not being in that. So you've lost 5.7% of your coins from down there. Now, it's not the end of the world. If you try to do this with any other coin and any other circumstances, yes, I'm telling you now, you're going to get hurt. Just like you're going to learn the hard way. All right, but we're in the Richard Hart ecosystem. We've got Pulse Chain. There's mind share within the community. There's a lot of things going with these to show that a good chance that you're going to survive. Okay, it's not going to keep going one way forever. And you never know that, right? There is a point where people are just going to rotate out. So you can't do this with everything else. You can't. So there's only a mind share with these. There's not going to be a mind share, for example, between Ethereum and Uniswap. Let's say Uni releases farms again. Okay, you can't just be in them and think, oh, it's sweet, it'll come back. No, it doesn't really have to. That's actually an all right one as well, but it can still beam really, really hard. There's all these different ones you're going to see when the E token and P tokens come. Okay, now what do you do here when you see this? Right, you see 5.7%. You're like, I've lost 5.7%. You haven't really lost too much of anything because you're earning the yield. Okay, now I was conservative, and I can show you here. Remember, back to here. You're earning 1% a week. I made it 0.5%. So if the spread stays up here and it does not come down, you'll make this back in 10 weeks. In 10 weeks, it's quite a bit of time, but you make it back. That's fine. That's what these things are. You're meant to provide a service. This is what PulseX is for. This is what the whole yield farming is. It's somebody's coming big mysteriously and bought up a lot of PulseX. Let's go look at the chart. So yes, somebody has bought up a lot of PulseX. Yeah. So we have provided this service of leaving our liquidity there. And then you're going to let it get sort out, and maybe it just comes back a bit down, you know? So that's why it's a service you're providing. You can't knock people back. All right. If you're a stripper with a wig, you can't say to one guy, you know what? You got a blue shirt on. I'm into checkers today. You can't say that. You can't. You got to treat everyone equally. It's the same thing with these yield farms. You do get compensated, but it takes time. So this isn't the end of the world. You just have to chill out. If you're not yield farming at all, you get a free trade out here. Now, I'm telling you now, I'm not going to be doing all of these for the next few years. I'm not going to be doing, get in and get out and make this and make that, because this is just going to take one time. You're just going to get it wrong, and you're going to feel disgusting, okay? Never rotate your full back. So let's say there are people out there, let's say they've got like a 10K worth of, let's do a small number. Let's say you got like 5K, 5,000, right, worth of Pulse, 5,000 PLS, 5,000 PLSX, right? I know that there's different numbers for them, but let's say you just got 5,000, 5,000. You could decide from here, you go, hey, you know what, this thing is straight lined pretty nicely. You could just say, all right, I want to rotate a bit of my PulseX to Pulse. I'm going to let you know now. All right, I'm going to slap you if I hear of anybody going all in or all out. You do not go all in or out ever, especially in spreads. Ever, 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 ever. You can just do like a quarter. So maybe you go, hey, you know what? I'm going to peel off like 2,000. You put this down to 3,000. You put this down to like 7,000. You can do that. All right. And you might say, this is what you do. You don't need to just go all in. You might say, okay, if this blows out again, you just do the next 2,000. All right. So, you know, now you have like $9,000 of PLS, 1,000 of PulseX. And if it goes down all the way, you play with it again. But if you keep fondling, you're going to get it really, really, really wrecked. This is just a once-off big wave that I'm seeing, and that's it. There's going to be times where these things just go like up, down, it fakes out to the top, comes back to the bottom, and it's going to screw you over. So I strongly don't recommend this. I'm now going to just tell you, you can't go wrong trimming like just 20% at a time. 20%. So you know how we start off with 5,000 and 5,000? Yeah, make it like, you know, 6,200, and then whatever that is, you know, 3,800. You might do it like that. Just do 20% at a time. And then you say, okay, I'm going to wait till next week or next month and see what happens. This is how you play it. The impermanent loss, I've got to stress, it's there, but it's not the end of the world. And here's the funny part, okay? This impermanent loss is only if it stays up here. So let's say actually, this is the funny part. Let's say Pulse, PLS goes up. Remember, this was 0. Let's say it actually goes up 25%. Look at this. Look at the number. Impermanent loss is down to 22.6%. So let me change that again. If Pulse didn't move, let's say Pulse never moved, it's 5.7%. But then just say, let's say it went up 25%. Look, 2.7% impermanent loss. So your impermanent loss dropped because PLS is caught up now. So this is the important part. I mean, even if it goes halfway, look at that. If Pulse goes halfway up, it's only a 1% loss. So these are going to mix and they're going to match. You probably should go to the date where you added liquidity. Go to the date where you add liquidity just so you know your rough ratio and you can tell where you start. So you can write it down and you can just see mentally and it will help you out. So you can just put like, let's say some of you, put it up here. That's all right, man. I mean, you only have what, impermanent loss of, yes, 56%, right? So it's not the end of the world. I mean, you can do asset price here. I think you can do it like this. You can leave asset price 1 of 0 and you can use the other one as 0. So this is something I haven't really checked, but I think this makes sense. So you can just go to the date where you added liquidity. So let's say you added liquidity like right on this line, and then you will just find the difference. So you get the ruler, say this ruler, you press the ruler, go to where your date is and go to today's price. Exactly. And you can see how this number is 52%. So what I've done is on the impermanent loss calculator, I've left one of the asset price changes as 0 and the other one, let's do exactly 52%. So that would be your impermanent loss. If you got in there, oh wow, 2.15%. That's literally nothing. At these rates, you've already made it back over 2 weeks. That's cool. And especially even funner, like you could put it in hex and then stake. You earn yield on yield. You can put it in another yield farm. Only do it in the safe ones, remember. All right. So what about those people who are at the bottom? So even if you're at the bottom, I'm just going to do this number. Let's say that guy who actually sold everything here. What is their actual impermanent loss right now if they put in? So see how this number is 90%. So if I go back to the impermanent loss calculator, I've left this as 0 again, and I'll change it to what the ruler said, 90%. So yes, those people, if they added liquidity, I know there were people, they went all in. So this is a good lesson. This is a very good lesson, baby dolls. I'm going to show you this. There are people, let's go zoom in. There are people, I saw them on chain, okay, and they were bragging a bit on Twitter. There were people down here, they rotated. So down here, they did the wrong move. They sold all their PulseX into Pulse. Almost all of it. Do you want to know what they've lost? They've lost this much. So you will go to the starting point. You've got to go backwards. You got to go to the starting point of today. So, I'm using shift on my keyboard. You can press the ruler. You go today's starting point. Go back to where they sold. Look at this. They've lost minus 46%. Oh my God. Minus 46 to minus. Wow. Okay. So what that tells you is they have lost 46% of their PulseX because of this. Okay. They lost minus 46% of their PulseX. Wow. So effectively, someone down here sold 100 million of PulseX. They were rotated into Pulse. They went all in. But now they can only buy back like 54%. They can't buy back 100 million PulseX anymore. They can only buy back 54 million. This is dangerous. I'm going to let you know. Look at this. If they weren't such a gambler, poopy head, and they thought they were geniuses, and they thought, oh yeah, I got this all solved out. If they were actually subscribed to me, please like, subscribe, bell button, all, and confirm friendship down in the comment section. If they just added liquidity, look how much they would have been saved. Because they've, in this scenario, okay, for gambling, okay, they went all in and gambled. They lost that amount. That is their poopy scenario. If they added liquidity, you could, let's do it again, you would get the ruler of where they did it and go to today's price. And you'd say, oh, okay, it's 80 to 90%. It's rounded up to 80 to 90%. So if they added liquidity and they just did half of their PulseX rotation into Pulse, then this is their impermanent loss. They've only lost 4.9%. Fantastic. Compare, let's round it up. Compare 5% to 46%. My God, 8 times. They reduced their loss if you provided liquidity by 7 on 8. Wow, that's huge, man. Think about that. At least you learned something now. When you get the yields, it's important to replenish. So you can choose what you to replenish. Up here, I'll just be doing Pulse, I'll just be doing Pulse. That's personally me. You can still decide. Okay, another secret. With spreads, over the long run, it usually doesn't even matter what you accumulate because you'll end up being 50-50. Usually, on average for a lot of people. So if you just stick to something consistent, you'll find that, let's say you just did, it's fine for you to say to me, hey, I'm going to do 50-50 in both because I promise you that is actually the right move to do 98% of the time. 98% of the time, the right move to do is have absolutely no bias because you're supposed to be in this mindset. You're supposed to be looking at weekly candles. You're supposed to say, hey, I'm here for 2025. I'm here for these candles anyway. These ones are meaningless. That's actually the right attitude to have. So don't worry if you've been doing half and half or even only one. It's okay. I would always strongly recommend half and half. It's fantastic what you'll see happen in the future because the market will catch you up by surprise. It will. It will go higher than you think and lower than you think, and you'll be thanking the lucky stars you did not go all in, as you got to see with these. Okay, so obviously the most quite common question I get asked, right, is should I buy Hex, Pulse, PulseX? And I always say, right, answer is equally, because you get the option to rotate at the extremes. So that's why I'm feeling a bit of extreme. So look, this is before I drew everything, okay? So I have a video uploading now to explain. I already made that video. This was back here. See, the spread was 0.38. You can see it here. See, 0.38. PulseX was 38% of Pulse price. And I just drew this up arrow and down arrow. So you just have two scenarios. You say, hey, if you get too expensive up here or you get too cheap down here, I'm going to act. And you're going to do nothing in the middle because we're here, we're spread farming, woo. That's what's happening. And look what happened. Our condition came. It just pumped magically up here. We're starting to get in this expensive zone. Well, we are in expensive zone. And you can always keep going, by the way. Spreads can blow out like you wouldn't believe. People come and FOMO and get fear. That's another thing. There are people, I know I'm explaining this to you, but I have insane amount of experience. I've seen people on chain already. I've heard stories and people are FOMOing up to PulseX up here. Already, you're not going to make it, buddy. You are not going to make it. That's not the right thing to do. It's very, very tough. These yield farms aren't going to last forever, so I don't have to worry about, what we're going to talk about next year when it comes to these, because most people might be out. That's honestly going to help me because I don't want to see everybody in pain because these things can cause a lot of pain. These yield farms are a gift. We're lucky to even get them. Most of the times, you got to divide these yield farms by like 8 compared to what we're getting. That's the reality of it. Right? Now, Pulse Maxis, not happy. All right? So Pulse Maxis, what do you do? So PulseX is screaming, as you've seen, hit 0.48. We've got the risk on indicator. And I've got 3 banana emojis, just to let you know. So if you are feeling like this now, all right, it's okay to feel like that. What you're actually feeling, you don't actually hate PulseX. You hate the fact that you went all in on a mindset. So you got to learn this about yourself and appreciate that you have a friend like me who's giving you very high value content and advice for free. You don't even want to know the heart attacks I had to go through to learn everything I've learned and what I've just plotted out to you in 5 seconds. Heart attacks. You learn this the hard way or the easy way. Like, subscribe button, or you're learning it the easy way, okay? 1/8, 1 friendship. So, what do you do if you feel like this? Take on board, I promise you, take this on board. Get half. Don't act with any irrationality now. Don't do that now. If I was like yield farming and I was a Pulse Maxi and I hated PulseX, which is obviously a very weird mindset, don't start turning into a PulseX Maxi now. All right, don't start doing that. I'll just farm all my Pulse rewards. You never know. Maybe it comes down here. Maybe it comes back and it settles around here, and then you can decide what to do from there. Obviously, this can keep going up. Right? That's just the game. This can go up and squeeze a lot of people's balls and ovaries. So if it comes back down, you've learned your lesson. This is usually the market. What you'll find is the market, the first time, it gives you one big warning shot. It's like the first one comes and then it comes back down. What's the warning shot here to learn from? The warning shot is what's possible now. That's the warning shot. It does show you some mercy. I've noticed this. Nothing ever just goes like this, like, woo! Like, crypto, we have seen literally things go like that. Normally markets, when it comes to ratios and spreads and how the market achieves equilibrium between values and stuff, there's whales on both sides, and usually it's very hard for things to just keep shooting up and up and up, up forever, unless there's a big intervention. So we're probably going to find this kind of like mean reverts back down somewhere, and this is where I'm going to make more videos and be like, okay, poopy heads, don't be a dingleberry. Stay a poopy head. You made a mistake. Admit it, you made a mistake. You went all in on one mindset. The market's giving you a chance now, but now you've learned the lesson. It showed you what's possible. It showed you, everything you thought that you knew about PulseX and Pulse and market go up and down, and this whale said he hates PulseX. Okay, that all means nothing. Godzilla's come in and just kicked your pinball machine. And then he took a big fat dump on your building. And he's smelly. Bears poop in the woods. Godzilla and bulls poop out in the open. Don't ever forget this. You forget this, you're going to be like that person who just like got absolutely crushed, minus 46%. Imagine you waited 2 years. You've lost half your stack already. Very important, friends. All right. If you need any help, go to this impermanent loss calculator. You go to this page and you play around with numbers yourself. So that's what I've done, theoretical numbers myself. Okay, you know, what if Pulse rallies 10x and PulseX rallies 30x? Look, your impermanent loss is 12%. So yes, you do have impermanent loss, but being realistic, everything's up so much, you don't even realize your impermanent loss. You notice I haven't done the negatives. What if Pulse drops 25%, PulseX drops 55%? Okay, so you don't, so okay, this has a 100. Probably just got to move. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what they're doing here with these negative numbers. There is, oh, okay, sorry. I was looking at, very, very naughty of me. I was changing the weightage. You have to do the ones up here. So 1,000%, 3,000%, 12. Okay, so you can just do like minus 25, play around with it, minus 75. What would happen? So if it went the other way, look at that, you'd lose 13% extra. So this would hurt. Not only have you lost on the USD, you've also lost extra coins, which is very tough. You can also work out this. There are people right now, they're up here. They're literally providing liquidity up here. They're adding their whole stack. People are like, realize, oh, I should do it. So they're probably going to feel a bit of impermanent loss soon as well. Because when it comes back down, look at this. If it comes back down, let's say it actually comes back down here. Remember, get the ruler. And what we're going to do is from their entry point, go back down here. And you say, okay, minus 35%. You see that number? You're going to keep that in mind. Minus 35%. So we're just going to do the same thing we did before. Leave this as 0. Go to the other one, minus 35. Your impermanent loss is 2.2%, which is okay. You're farming. That's okay. The big numbers happen when you have two assets not really related to each other. So imagine, I mean, this has happened, right? There's been, you know, coins that go, say, 14x, and the other thing is down 20%. Have a look at this. You've lost 56% of your coins. So this is very unfortunate. So that thing that went 14x, it's like you only got a 7x or a 6.5x. That's why these things can be dangerous. But we're in the Richard Hart ecosystem. We understand it. The yields compensate for it. We're going to evaluate this week by week. Keep it straight back. Wear your fuffy sippers. Tell mum and dad that you love them.